Sierra Leone, UNICEF is now using drones to deliver medicines to remote places. How amazing!
Well, we can ruin one.
Wow, in this video, they were delivering a medication that would trigger contractions and also prevent bleeding during childbirth. So they are saving the lives of so many women that could bleed to death. This is really helping to curb maternal death in Sierra Leone. The drone can go as far as 40 kilometers, that's about 25 miles, and they're about to start this in Namibia. They've launched it in Malawi and other countries as well.
Hello everybody. Quick, first of all, kudos to our sister. I'm going to share a video with you all that she shared with us on YouTube, where UNICEF, in consultation with the government of Sierra Leone currently, they have drones that are delivering medications to remote areas in Sierra Leone, up with the maternal mortality rate, which means the amount of pregnant women that die due to childbirth. So these drones are going to be providing the necessary, help that these communities need. These pregnant women, need so much because of inaccessibility. It means a lot of these communities are not accessible by roads. Sometimes it's by boat. And we know sometimes it's an emergency because people need these medications. So kudos to, UNICEF, and thank you to everybody, and including the government of Sierra Leone. But I have a fundamental question that I need to ask, and that is why I was prompted to even do this video, because the question remains, what is the plan? Because we're talking about these countries are so tiny. Sierra Leone is a small, tiny country. What is the problem? What is the fundamental problem? That's the question. That's the most important question we want to ask, why these communities are not accessible. And what are these governments going to do in the long term to make sure that these communities that are not accessible right now become accessible in the not too distant future? Because the drone technology is so way out of our league there. But if we focus and say, what's stopping, us getting to these people? Is it a swamp? So maybe they need to construct a bridge, or maybe they need to construct a road to get folks into these communities so everybody can be accessible. Because the reason why I'm saying this is these countries are so small. There shouldn't be no reason where proper planning, comes into play, that any community should be isolated from Sierra Leone, so much to the point that we need drones to fly into these communities. Of course, we're talking about what, 60 years since independence? Over 60 years almost since independence in Sierra Leone, and no administration has really thought about that. Integrating communities, creating roads. Look at the United States that we all live in. We're talking about like the beltways, all the highways, 95. You can see the 95, it takes you right across America. As huge as it is. Don't say, oh, you can't compare America and Sierra Leone. But Sierra Leone is just a small country. If there was proper planning with all these various governments that we've had, there is no way any community should be isolated in Sierra Leone. So that's the fundamental question I want us to ask ourselves. And what plans those governments, the current government or UNICEF would have to make sure that these communities are accessible, either by road or by boat, one way or the other. And I don't see what should stop any community in Sierra Leone from being accessible easily. So maybe that lies squarely on the shoulder of the government. Current government, future governments, past governments, you're all to be blamed for this. So in as much as we're excited about the drone, but I hope we're not just going to sit back and say, oh, we have drones taking medications to these people, and we forget to ask ourselves the question, the fundamental question, what is the reason why these communities are inaccessible? And what can we do to make sure these communities become accessible to everybody? Because that is what Africa should think about, developing these communities, making sure that everybody has access to everything. Pregnant women all over the country, they should be able to, the water broke tonight, somebody should be able to get in the car and drive right through. That is the vision that some of us have for Africa. Our countries are so small within the continent that we should be able to do this and not just rely on this drone technology, but to make sure that we have healthcare facilities in these communities. We have professionals in these communities so that people can receive adequate care that they so much deserve as citizens of their various countries in Africa. I hope we'd ask ourselves this question. and try to make sure we integrate these communities so that it can be accessible to everybody and they can have access to everything and not just rely on drone technology. Thank you.